We are officially in the back half of the group stages of this ICC Cricket World Cup. Hello and welcome to WION World of Cricket with me, Digvijay Singh. We are building up to Australia versus the Netherlands. That game kicking off in about 25 minutes, not too far away from where we are in the city. That game comes from the Arun Jaitley Stadium. And Dav Whatmore, Sri Lanka's 1996 World Cup winning coach, is here with me to set it up. Dav, remember, also played his cricket for Australia. The news from the middle is no surprise. Australia have won the toss. They've decided to have a bat. Put runs on the board, put this team under pressure, forget anything remotely resembling an upset.
Yeah, well, that's right. I think Australia can be confident going into this game. Their momentum is beginning now and it's growing. They will also know that that Netherlands have come here not just to make up the numbers. We've seen the way Netherlands approaches their cricket with a very positive approach and a mindset which is very, very good for them. So you need to, first and foremost, ensure that there's enough pressure on the opposition to win the game.
Okay, the news from the middle is that Travis Head is not playing. There was a lot of speculation that Head could come straight in against the Dutch, but he's not playing, so Marnus Labuschagne retains his berth. But Australia have been forced to make one change. Dav Whatmore spotted this and warned me in advance. He said, I saw Cameron Green marking his run-up. That's because Marcus Stoinis has picked up a bit of a niggle. Just waiting to see what's going on in the Netherlands camp. As things stand, doesn't look to be too much of a change. But Green coming back in, a lifeline to him to sort of revive his World Cup campaign, or do you think that he's always going to be the sort of the standby? He's going to come in when all the all-rounders have a problem?
Yeah, I think so. He's a good player, but he's not Marcus Stoinis when it comes to clearing the boundary. Stoinis is a very strong individual who can easily clear the boundary in a short period of time. Cameron Green needs a little bit more time to get his eye in, that sort of thing, but like for like, as close as you can possibly get. He'll more for his bowling, I think, but no slouch with the bat either.
Okay, it's buzzing. The screen is buzzing. That's because your comments and questions are coming in. But before we get there, let's just take a look at the context for this game. Let's bring up the points table. And that will tell you why this is a big, big game, not just for Australia. It's a big game for other teams as well. Now, Australia, as things stand, are fourth. You would realistically expect, Dav, that India, South Africa, and New Zealand are sort of all but through. But there's a big race here, and even the teams down at 2 are not officially out of it. So if Australia lose today, then the likes of Pakistan, even, you never know, the Netherlands, Afghanistan, they could start thinking about sneaking into the semis.
Quite right. That's exactly what the board says to everyone looking at it. If Australia loses, then it opens the door for a few other teams. So, you know, I'm pretty sure that they're not going to let it happen, but it's an interesting stage. As you said, we're in the second half of the tournament. And matches now, you know, carry a little bit more importance because of that reason. So, you know, Pakistan and Afghanistan are hoping like crazy that there'll be another upset at the Delhi ground, at the Arun Jaitley. And I'm sure they'll be watching every ball until it looks like Australia's going to win, then they'll walk away.
Yeah. Let's stay on this full frame because I've got a couple of comments from Pakistan. No more with Whatmore. We're going into it early today. Fatima Habib from Lahore says, thank you, Fatima, for tuning in. She's saying, let's hope for a miracle. Today's game will decide if Pakistan are going to stay in this World Cup or not. A similar one from Furqan from Pakistan. He says, good luck, Netherlands. Last year, you defeated South Africa at the T20 World Cup and brought Pakistan back into the reckoning from nowhere. This time, beat Australia. Bring us back. Ooh, we now know who's the most famous team today in Pakistan.
Yeah, well...
And it's not the Pakistan cricket team.
No, it's not. They're hoping, like Netherlands, the Orange, do another big effort and cause another upset. But good for the leaderboard, good for the points table, but not good if you're an Australian supporter.
Okay, let's just bring up the matches so far at the Firoz Shah Kotla Stadium, also now known as the Arun Jaitley Stadium. Do sort of excuse me, so used to calling it the Kotla.
Kotla, yeah.
Yeah, that that tends to slip out. But at the time of the renaming, they did say that the ground is still the Firoz Shah Kotla. The stadium is called the Arun Jaitley Stadium.
Yeah.
Okay, so do excuse me for that. When we bring that up, I'm going to look at the 3 games that have happened there. So the first game, obviously a run feast. South Africa thrashing Sri Lanka. The second game, India beating Afghanistan very easily. Rohit Sharma got 100.
Chasing.
The third game was the upset, England losing, and there hasn't been a game after that.
So 2 games, bat first one game, bat second one. Yeah, but I think that's also because a team like India, who bowl first, they always put in a very strong performance to ensure that the total is well within their grasp. So, I think this wicket is pretty much a win the toss, bat first, get the advantage.
Lots of runs.
Lots of runs, because it relayed pitch, but not so much, like 6 months ago. But this one, I think...
this looks 400. If you bat first, even though it's Netherlands, who are a tough team, the way Australia have played. In fact, before we get up the playing 11s, let's look at Australia's results so far at this World Cup. And let's see if we can find some sort of a trend. So let's bring up Australia's results so far at this World Cup. Remember, they lost to India in Chennai. Then they lost to South Africa in Lucknow. Then the sort of fight back started. They beat Sri Lanka by 5 wickets. And then beat Pakistan by 62. What this doesn't tell you is it was a run feast with David Warner and Mitchell Marsh putting on 250 plus for the opening wicket. That's what Australia need today. Another big stand from those 2.
Well, that's right. I mean, always you need a lot of runs as well. But the one, as you said, a little trend happening is that, I look at the wickets taken by the Australians. And the highest wicket taker, okay, Zampa, you expect him to take wickets, 9. But the fast bowlers, who everyone agrees, it's a pretty decent, threesome of Hazelwood, Stark, and
Cummins.
Sorry,
Captain. You want to drop him? You like Michael Clarke? You want to drop the captain, do you?
But Diggy, the highest wicket taker in those 3 is Mitchell Stark with only 6.
Yeah.
Hazelwood has got 5.
One second, Hank. Let's bring up Australia's top performers and the top bowlers so far. As Dav talks over it, we can perhaps look at the economy rates as well. So here you go. Not most of these. Let's get the most wickets so far, the Australian bowlers. I think we've got that one as well. Yeah, here you go. So Adam Zampa, I'll talk about him in a bit. But as you're saying, Mitchell Stark, Hazelwood 5, Cummins 5. Economy rate, Hazelwood has been frugal. That's what we expect of him.
Right.
But the best economy rate down there, Glenn Maxwell, the big show.
Yeah.
Stark is expensive. You expect him to be expensive. That's what you always say. But Cummins gets the crucial breakthroughs. But is this also a reflection of the batting flat decks they've been playing on?
Perhaps. But, when you look at Maxwell with the lowest of the economy, then... You tend to think, okay, well, he's doing his bit, so the wickets will reflect with somebody else in that bowling attack. But still, it hasn't. Stark's only got 6 wickets. And what the worrying thing is, none of those fast bowlers have taken a wicket in the first 10 overs. In the last 3 games.
Yep.
In the last 3 games. They're struggling to get a wicket. So I think bowling under lights might help them a little bit today against Netherlands. But they'd need to correct that pretty quick, I think, if they're going to continue on and put pressure on those top 3 teams, because they are pretty decent batting units and they need to get wickets up front, which they haven't had in 3 games.
Talking about struggles, let's bring in Vidur Kathuria, our colleague, one-time host of this show as well. He's outside the Arun Jaitley Stadium. Vidur, nice to see you smiling. Lots of India colours. There's a bit of Dutch colours there somewhere, at least the orange. But more security than people as things stand?
Well, there's definitely a lot of security here, but there are some Dutch fans. And lots of Australian fans. Remember, David Warner and Mitchell Marsh play for the Delhi Capitals, so there is bound to be lots of support for them. And we've seen Indian fans who are dressed up in Australian jerseys. So yes, there is a lot of security, but also fans, cricket-loving fans who have come to see Australia play. So definitely they should be in for an exciting match.
In fact, you were down there. Do you get a feeling an upset is round the corner? Like Dav Whatmore called it out earlier. He said, you know what, upset alert, Afghanistan could beat Pakistan. Or do you sense that Australia have now hit their straps, Vidur? We've been following this World Cup very closely. And after those first two defeats, you thought, hang on, how do they respond? But you get that feeling that now they are sort of this wounded tigers, that fighting ability which they have, that's kicked in. And they are now a dangerous team, because if they reach the semis in the fourth place, it's all about that, right? It's about 2 games from momentum there.
Well, absolutely, Digvijay. Australia are, you could call them World Cup specialists, record 5-time champions. No team would want to face them in the semi-final. They've hit their strides. Obviously, those opening 2 defeats sort of hurt them. But if there's any team you would back to come back at a major tournament, it's Australia. Having said that, we have seen quite a few upsets, quote-unquote upsets. What do you call an upset now? That is something also that needs to be discussed. Mitchell Marsh in his press conference yesterday was asked, is the gap narrowing between the top teams and the so-called minnows? Actually, it's kind of offensive if you call a team minnows now, but we've seen upsets in the tournament and the gap is narrowing. So Netherlands as well, we've seen them, produce a huge victory over South Africa. So they have the confidence. And, I was listening to Scott Edwards during the toss, and he said that he would have bowled first anyway. So I think they back themselves, and hopefully we'll get to see a good match. Scott Edwards obviously has that Australia connection. He knows the Australian team well. And hopefully we get to see another impressive performance by the Dutch.
Okay, hang around, Vidur. Let's just bring up the playing 11s. Let's start with the Dutch, because Vidur's talking about the Dutch. Let's bring up the playing 11 for the Netherlands against Australia. In fact, I actually went and did some research. It's just the 3rd time they're playing this match, these 2 teams. That's and right. Both have come at previous World Cups. This is the Netherlands 11, and when you look at it, we'll get to your key battles earlier on, but they need Vikramjit Singh and Max O'Dowd to sort of give them a decent start. It's not happened so far. Both haven't collectively sort of fired, and this is a team which scraps. It's got Scott Edwards' DNA, a former Melbourne lad. Yeah. Picked up a Dutch passport when he was 15 years old, just because the family roots over there. Yeah. And at 22, not making it through the Australian system, gets a call up from a former mate of his saying, come on, let's play for them and have a game. And now he's dividing his time between both places. In fact, the Australian media is now discovering that this was a good bloke who they let go, because he's got that pugnacious quality to him.
Yeah, actually, just on that point very quickly, there's a lot of young cricketers around now who are considering a career in associate countries, because now the cricket's growing, financially it's getting better, and they play internationally more often. So people like Edwards and a number of others are seriously making those decisions. So here we have the same team, but the thing that worries me a little bit, Diggy, that the highest run scorer is Ackerman. And with 127 runs, and Edwards himself, who bats number 6 or 7 sometimes, 124.
Let's bring that up. Let's bring up the top performers, the top batters for Netherlands in this tournament. And while they have scrapped, they had a big upset over the South Africans. What Dav is saying is they've got into situations where they're 140 for 5, 140 for 6, and then you see the lower middle order sort of scrapping. Yeah. So Ackerman at the top of the order not getting runs. Engelbrecht got runs against Sri Lanka, took them to a 260 score. Edwards sort of got them the runs against South Africa. But yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? These are not runs you expect at this stage of the tournament. You need at least somebody approaching the 200s.
That's right. So that also suggests that they play really well as a team. They support each other, and they work as hard as they possibly can, and they can pull off an upset win, which they did. Engelbrett batted at number 3 once. So Ackerman came in at 4 and everyone went down 1 in the order. But he's generally a middle to lower and he's got 118. Van Beek is a bowler. Is a opening bowler, but getting 97 runs. So he's made it onto that top 5 run scorers. So they need to improve that. Baz de Leader, most wickets, 7 wickets, yep. And Dutt, this is a young guy coming in bowling off spin in the most difficult part of the game, in the first 10 overs, and doing extremely well. Great economy rate,
Yep.
So, full marks to him. But the rest fall away a little bit. Van Meekeren, Ackerman, 4 wickets, and Logan Van Beek, 4 wickets.
Okay, just because we have Baz de Leader on our screens, let's bring up the history of Australia and the Netherlands. If we have that graphic, it will show that the best performance by a Dutch bowler against Australia is a certain Tim de Leader, father of Baz de Leader. Do we have that graphics? Okay, we haven't got that yet.
So what did he? What was he?
I think it was 2 for 30. This was that game the 2 games they've played. One in South Africa, 2003. Potchefstroom. It was Australia got 36 overs, rain affected clash, 170 for 2.
Oh, that's good effort, 2 for.
Yeah, and I think the Netherlands were bowled out for 122. The next game was in the West Indies. 4 years later, Australia got 358 or something, that much. Netherlands lost by 229. I mean, Brad Hodge.
Yeah.
Brad Hogg.
Hoggy, yeah.
Hoggy got wickets,
tweaker.
yeah.
But father and son, good, isn't it? It's nice. Good stories.
Good stories.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take some more questions. Mr. Cricket, are you Michael Hussey, are you? Says, Australia will take their net run rate miles ahead of Pakistan in New Delhi today. Is that the aim as well for Australia? Put some gap?
Absolutely. If the situation presents itself, you've got to start naught for naught. You can't go there with a mindset of we're going to improve our run rate. You will only do that if you respect your opposition and respect the game and you do your processes correctly. If you do it correctly, there's a big gap between 2 teams. But if you be complacent and just think and be flippant, this is just going to happen, it ain't going to happen. So if you start off well and you do all the hard things like you would against a really big team, the difference at the end of that 100 overs is going to be a big margin.
Okay, let's take this. We've got the graphics now. So the top performers for Australia versus Netherlands. The highest individual score for Australia is Brad Hodge, 123 in that 358 game.
Yep.
The highest individual score for the Netherlands, Dan van Bunga. Remember? Dan van Bunga, why does that name strike a bell? No? Herschel Gibbs hit him for 6 sixes in that 2007 World Cup. Let's change this page, please. Yeah. Let's look at the next one. I think when you look at the top bowlers, I think there's one more page. Yes, Brad Hogg, the Chinaman.
Yeah.
4 for 27, best bowling, Tim de Leader, 2 for 34.
There he is.
There he is.
Against Australia.
Okay, Samir has a comment. I won't take a reaction, but it's a comment. Australia may look to better than net run rate today, what we're talking about, but this Netherlands side is capable of beating them. What do the Dutch need to do to beat Australia? Obviously, you have to contain. Let's bring up Australia's top performers with the bat, and perhaps Dav can talk over it, why it's so difficult for them. Australia's top performers in this World Cup with the bat. Obviously, Warner getting that big 160 and that beast has been unleashed.
Yeah, and look, if you have a close look, you'll see that the opening partnerships with all the teams that are successful, that's been one of the main reasons why they are doing well. The opening stand does well, the team generally wins the game. But sadly, Australia wasn't doing that.
Here you go, there they are, 228 for Warner, 160 in that. Yeah. Marsh 180. The good news is that Marsh obviously is going to be batting at the top of the order with him. That's the big start they provide.
Yeah.
The problem here is for two men.
Smith.
I'll get to Smith, but how does Labuschagne react knowing that Head is here and it's a straight toss-up between him and Head, and Steve Smith got a knock in the nets, but he's fit enough. And listen, he's a great player, but should he be looking over his shoulder as well? Because these runs are not good enough.
Well, I guess I suppose so, but I think one of these two will continue to play regardless. One of these two. So if there's an injury to one of them, the other one will play. But if there's no injury to either of them, then I'm pretty sure Marnus Labuschagne is the one that will make way for Travis Head when he comes back in the following game.
But when he comes back, can we just go back to the previous graphic? When he comes back, Marsh goes down to 3.
Yep.
Then you have Smith at 4.
Yep. It can be floating. I mean, if they do really well, like the previous game in the Chinnaswamy, Glenn Maxwell was promoted to 3 because that was a huge opening stand. So he wasn't required to bat.
But he wasn't required to bat the way he did, hitting the first ball for 6, trying to hit for 6 out, first ball.
Stupid shot. Ridiculous. I'm sure he would, every time he looks at that replay, he'd be shaking his head.
He's a Bangalore boy, plays for Royal Challengers, perhaps thinking, you know what, these blokes have come to see me, let me show them what I can do. Well,
the
they
thing
look very
is,
good.
no matter who you are, how good you are,
You always start at 0.
Yeah, and you still need a little bit of time, you know. And exactly what I was saying earlier on, when you sit back and you're watching two guys do it really easily, you think, this is easy. But they didn't. They started on naught and they had to work and fight their way to get to whatever they were. You can't just walk in and do the same thing as you've seen the other two batsmen in the middle do and making it look easy. Take a little bit of time.
It's 50 over cricket, it's not T20.
Yeah.
Let's bring up the Australia bowling numbers because I have a question on Adam Zampa. And I'll throw that to Dav Whatmore, Australia's top bowlers at this World Cup. And this is a question from Abhay Tambe. You weren't very impressed with Adam Zampa.
No.
I think he remembers that. Will Zampa work today? What do you think Zampa's legacy is going to be like? He's top of the wicket charts because I think he's got 2 4-wicket hauls, right, in the last 2 games.
Yeah, but he started off pretty poorly.
But that economy rate, 6.19.
Yeah, it's still up there, but I think it'll come down slowly when he begins to be more consistent with his bowling. Yeah, I was really critical the first couple of games, and then the third game, I think, when he had some back issues, like a spasm, but he's still got 4 wickets.
He's dealing with it even now.
Is he? Well, you know.
But they've got a decent rest between the last 2 games.
Yeah.
And they've got another big one, I think, coming up now.
Yeah, but he is very important to the attack. You know, really important in those middle overs to pick up some wickets, and that's what he's starting to do.
But when you look at what he's going at and what Maxwell is going at, he'll be looking at himself in the mirror and thinking, hey, Maxwell can't be outperforming me, especially with the ball.
Well, he's not getting wickets. He's being a miserly with his
containing
runs.
bowler.
Yeah, so often those bowlers may not show so many wickets in the wicket column, but wickets go to the other bowlers, and it's just as important.
But who are the other bowlers? The Australians aren't taking wickets, as we
Zampa
saw.
for one.
6-5-5.
Yeah, the Australian team needs their quicks to stand up and do a little bit more, particularly in the first 10 overs.
Divided loyalties. Do I sense you said we?
No,
Played your test cricket for Australia, but you stay in Sri Lanka.
No.
Come on, decide.
No.
You're a global citizen, are you?
I'm stepping, but I can see all teams on the same level. Yeah.
Lots of comments on the Dutch. They've entertained us, haven't they? I wouldn't count out the Netherlands just yet, says Peter. They've got some talented players too. Yes, you don't beat South Africa, who are in the form of their lives, if you don't have a talented team. And as Dav was saying, they're for me, the New Zealand light, if you get the...
That's what
Okay, Elizabeth says, Australia's bowling attack is top-notch. If they perform well, victory is within reach. I think their tails will be up today, despite this being sort of a good ground to score runs, because under lights, that attack can trouble anyone. Perhaps this is where they break that sort of... They just need to go back and see what they did well against India and Chennai. On a pitch that was helping the spinners. They had India, almost not for 3, right, didn't they?
2, 3
yeah,
wickets,
but all
2
3
runs.
got knots.
Yeah.
Shreyas, Rohit and Ishan.
Yeah, but the confidence is growing, Diggy. You can feel it, you can see it, and this is a team that I think it can continue, provided they start doing the right things at the beginning of the game.
Okay. We saw Pakistan try to change some things. They finally hit a 6 after, 1,200 balls.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if Australia can pick up a wicket. Okay, anyway, Johan says, Netherlands can surprise everyone. They've got a fighting spirit that should not be underestimated. And that's what we want to see, that fighting spirit. Yeah. Emma says, the Dutch has been improving steadily. Both teams have shown great cricket recently. And Rohit says, in the end, it's going to come down to experience. Australia has the advantage and skill. I think they're going to win against the Dutch?
Well, Diggy, the Dutch are still associates.
Yep.
They got. I think they may have status for ODIs.
They have ODI and T20.
Yeah.
They don't have a test status.
No, they don't. But
So they're associate. They're the only associate team at this World Cup.
When you look, they had to qualify.
Yeah.
And they did it really well. Scotland over the years have beaten big teams. Zimbabwe have beaten big teams. So the gap between the not minnows, but the teams that are ranked 12, 13, 14, 15 are still able to win on any given day when they're on top of their game and the opposition relaxes. So the distance is narrowing.
Okay, David Warner out there at the crease. He's going to take first strike. Let's look at the key battles before we wrap this up. This is Dav Whatmore's key battles for this contest. Let's see.
Warner and Dutt, surely.
Yep, Warner and Dutt, is it?
The keeper's got his helmet on, so that's battle's
Warner
begin
versus Dutt. Let's bring up key battles, can we? Warner versus Dutt for you.
Well, this young fellow has been asked to do a job every game he's played.
He's got to be rated under 5.
Yeah, he hasn't
against some
disappointed.
top-notch batters, right?
Yeah, so,
he's got heart.
And
you
this
need
wicket,
heart to bowl in that power play.
He's not going to get too much spin either, so he's going to be. He needs to be accurate, and he needs to land the ball. I think
Marsh is taking strike.
Okay.
Marsh is taking strike, not Warner.
That's because he's off spinner's on.
Yeah.
But this will be a good battle too because, Warner needs to be a little careful before he unleashes his power. As I said earlier, treat him with respect early, and at the end of the day, it'll be a big difference between the two teams.
What does this remind you of? Reminds me of Deepak Patel at the 1992 World Cup, right? Opening the bowling.
New Zealand, they started it, I guess, and with some success too, I have to say.
Okay, let's look at battle number 2.
Marsh.
Battle number 2, what's it?
I got Mitch Marsh.
Mitch Marsh, okay.
The other centurion
Logan
from the
Van
previous...
Beek, who went for runs in the last game against Sri Lanka, but did score with the bat. But we want him to do something with the ball.
I was thinking now who's...
But against South Africa, it's bowled very well.
You can't bowl spinners both ends, right?
Yeah.
So somebody with a new ball is going to have to come and bowl to both of those openers. And I fancy Logan Van Beek to come and perform that duty. And he needs to back off a little bit. This guy is very good down the ground, and he can play also the square ones if he's given width and length. So you need to be spot on.
Okay, let's look at battle number 3. Australia have just scored a boundary, tossed up, and Mitchell Marsh played a gorgeous drive to Aryan Dutt, and then, as Dav has been saying, he let it go. Okay, this is an interesting one. Yeah. Josh Inglis against Roelof van der Merwe. Interesting story. The Australians are coached by Andrew McDonald. Now, Andrew McDonald and Roelof van der Merwe played a season of cricket together at the IPL. He's still going through. He's still going on.
Yeah, that's right.
Still going on.
At Royal Challengers.
Royal Challengers, Bangalore.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So English is important for them because he's a busy cricketer.
That's right.
But this guy is a wily old fox, is he? Roelof van der Merwe. And what I like about him, Dav, is when I see him on the field, he's like almost your second captain. He's exhorting everyone, come on. And as a coach, you'd love to see that sort of leadership, and also because of his experience, the likes of Scott Edwards and all are not sort of backing off thinking, is he infringing on my authority? No, they love this.
Correct. What else can I say? He's a true professional. He's a true professional that is very passionate about the teams he played for, whether it's Somerset or whether it's the orange shirt playing with Netherlands. He is very, very physical, and he's passionate, and it shows clearly, whether he's batting or bowling, how much he wants to win and do well.
Okay, a moral victory for Dutt. Gets Marsh to edge, but it runs away to third man for a boundary. Interesting first over. Let's look at the next battle. Okay, Mitchell Starc needs, as you said, wickets. Needs to show up more in that column. The leading wicket taker at the last 2 World Cups. Nowhere in the reckoning at the moment. Yeah. But Max O'Dowd,
he's
not
the most
exactly
experienced. Huh? He's the most experienced batsman there.
Yeah, but he's not.
He hasn't, but they really do require him to step up a little bit, And he's due. He's overdue for some runs, and I'm looking very carefully at this. I like the other boy as well, Vikramjit Singh, as you know. But if Netherlands are going to make a real effort in this particular game, the openers have to do well, and they haven't done. So this guy is the most experienced batsman. He's going to have to nurse that other youngster with him, take him along, but also at the end of that innings, he has to show at least a 50, and I'm expecting on a good track, if he's able to get through the initial stages of Marsh, Hazelwood and Stark, then I think he's well on the way of doing his job.
Do we have another one?
One more.
One
I think
more?
it was Edwards.
And then let's get Vidur back, because Vidur's wondering, have they forgotten me? No, Vidur, we haven't forgotten you.
Well, the captain here, Edwards, is also a bit of a dangerous player. He hasn't got that many runs, but the runs he did get was a match-winning score.
Yeah.
So you need to be a little careful when you're bowling to him. And I've got Adam Zampa, who's now on top of his game, to to bowl to him.
Okay, do we have Vidur with us still? Vidur, or has he rushed off to see the game?
Yes, I'm here.
He's there. I can hear him, but I can't
No,
see
I'm
him. Vidur,
waiting
there you are.
patiently. I'm so-
Okay, Vidur, let me just fill you in. So, 9 for no loss at the end of 7 balls. There you are. Okay, so we're not going to keep you waiting for long, but because you brought up the DC connection, Samar says DC boys back in Delhi today. Where do you sort of, what the feeling you got when you heard both teams yesterday? Do you get a feeling that Netherlands are going to look to contain them to something below 280 if that's possible? Will that be a job well done on this pitch? Because you get a feeling, Dav and I were talking about this, that if they get anything above 320, 330, then it's going to be very difficult for this Dutch team.
Well, certainly Australia will be aiming for a total, in and around 350, and I think they can, with the form their openers are in, that is David Warner and Mitchell Marsh, both who play for the Delhi Capitals, they will certainly can get close to that. In the last match they had that record 259 run partnership, but they do need a little more from their middle order. I mean, it was a sort of a mini collapse against Pakistan, and we were looking at a score close to 400. I think that's what they'll be looking for in this game, a lot more from their middle order. But I think certainly if they get anything in and around that 320, 330 mark, it'll be very, very difficult for the Dutch. And already I can hear cheers for both David Warner and Mitchell Marsh. In fact, Mitchell Marsh, would, as you said, Digvijay, he would drop to number 3 if Travis Head would have returned. And in fact, the expectation and the feeling that I got from the press conference and reading about it is that Travis Head would return for this match, but the official word is that he now requires a few more days and he will come straight back into that opening slot. So, and Mitchell Marsh will drop down to number 3. So, I mean, there will be a shuffling that will be done, but Mitchell Marsh, we've seen that he's a lot more comfortable in that opening slot. So there are some concerns for Australia there in terms of their batting order.
Okay, Vidur, we're just going to take the poll. Say, I'm going to start with you. We put out this question, who's going to be Australia's top performer against the Dutch? Pat Cummins, Adam Zampa, David Warner, Glenn Maxwell. We know what the Delhi crowd is going for. What are you going to say?
I'm with the Delhi crowd, David Warner. David Warner to shine at the Arun Jaitley Stadium. He was magnificent in that innings against Pakistan, and I think he'll be backing himself to get another big score today. So I'm going to go with David Warner, not going to disappoint the fans.
Okay, he almost got bowled, but he didn't get out. So what do you have to say after that?
Bad shot.
but you going with Warner as well? Our fans are going with all.
I can't see it.
Definitely Warner. If he just look, they've started with 2 spinners, right? So that's a good ploy. No pace on the ball. Both these guys like a bit of pace, but if they can just be patient, hang in there. If they don't lose wickets, it's going to be carnage.
Warner's underway, back of length, cuts it. They haven't learned, have the Dutch, of seeing how he went after Usama Mir. 47% saying Warner, 14% Cummins, 19% Zampa, 19% the Big Show Maxwell. Next one. Interesting one. Should Australia drop Stephen Smith, Dav?
No, not yet. I think he deserves a few more chances, considering what he's done in his career for the team. I think certainly, anyway, they're starting to win. So, I think, no, not yet.
Okay, let's look at the next one. Should Australia drop Steven Smith is what we just ran. Who's going to be Netherlands' top performer against Australia, Vidur? Aryan Dutt, Rolof van der Merwe, Bastelida, Logan van Beek.
Well, I think I'd go for Bastelida. You know, he's performed outstandingly well at this World Cup with bat and ball, and he's the one who I think, along with Scott Edwards, who's really sort of performed for them in those big matches. He performed again in the last match as well against Sri Lanka. He had that 50. So I'd back Bastelida to put in another good showing.
For you, Dutt, van der Merwe, Bastelida, Logan van Beek.
I like Bastelida, but I think his form's dipping a little bit. But the guy I got a sort of a funny feeling is Logan van Beek. You know, he's going to be required to get some runs. He can really whack it, and he's going to bowl his 10 overs. So, like Bastelida, he's going to bowl and bat. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we look at Logan van Beek. I know he's not going to figure much in your poll, but I've got a feeling he might do well in this game.
Talking of the poll says Aryan Dutt, but Warner just hit him for 3 straight boundaries. So, 36% of our viewers are backing Dutt. 18% van der Merwe, 18% Van Beek, 28% Bastelida. Okay, I think I got a couple more.
Another one. That's 4 in a row now.
Oh, the Delhi boys, Vidur, we need to let you go. Last one, rush in. You're going to see a Warner special.
He's got a pitcher.
Who's going to win this match in New Delhi? That's an easy one. I'm not even getting that to both of you. 82% saying Australia. A lot of Pakistan fans, Vidur, want Netherlands to win, but Australia starting off in 6th gear, last one. And I'm going to ask you this because you were there. Should Travis Head play ahead of Labuschagne? This is more of a hypothetical question looking ahead or to the tournament. What do you think? Is it going to be Labuschagne who makes way, or is it going to be Smith in your opinion?
Well, I think it's definitely going to be Labuschagne. As Australia, the Australian management have said before, when Travis Head returns, he'll come straight back into that opening slot. And, you know, as Dav said, you don't let go, you don't give up on a high quality player like Steven Smith. So Steve Smith will come down to that number 4 spot. And, you know, overall, if you see, Steve Smith has been an outstanding servant for Australian cricket, and you stick with him. And I think if that happens, there will come a time in the tournament where he delivers. So I think Labuschagne, unfortunately, is the one who makes way when Travis Head returns. And Travis Head himself has been in outstanding form this year, so he comes straight back into that 11.
Talking of outstanding, nothing more outstanding at the moment than David Warner, as well as Vidur Kathuria, who's standing outside of the Arun Jaitley Stadium. Vidur, thank you. Enjoy the game.
Waiting to go inside.
Time for you to rush inside. Be careful, don't trip yourself in the staircases of the old Kotla. Take the lift. Enjoy it's his first game, in fact.
Yeah, don't worry.
Enjoy this, Vidur.
Good luck,
first
Vidur.
game, have fun.
Soaking in my first match experience at the World Cup.
Yeah, thank God he's in some amount of shade, or he'll be actually soaking like the way I was soaking when India played Afghanistan. Vidur,
good luck, Vidur.
Good luck, have fun. Okay,
thanks.
So Vidur Kathuria signing off. He's off to watch the game. He's going to be joining us at the mid-innings show as well, where Dav Whatmore will be there. Australia off to a great start. 3 overs, 27 for no loss against the Netherlands. Very quickly, are we already looking at a 350 score?
Yeah, definitely.
400?
Definitely, yeah. Look, if they don't lose wickets, it's going to be really ugly. For the men in orange, sadly, there's a lot of power down at the middle and lower middle of the Australian batting card.
Small ground, batting paradise.
Small outfield.
Small outfield as well. Okay, on that note, it's time to wrap up this edition of WION World of Cricket. Dav Whatmore and me are off to have lunch. Signing off, WION World of Cricket returns mid-innings. Bye.